In the quiet moments before the world wakes up, there's a place where pain meets peace, where every breath feels like a prayer and grief stands still. We carry the weight of what was and search for meaning in the smallest things. And sometimes all it takes is one moment to remind us we're still here, still healing.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Grief Let's Talk About It podcast. You guys know who it is. This is Tony Lynch. I'm the host of this podcast. And yes, we are your number one podcast for bringing you stories about death, dying, and grief, all the messiness that comes in between, with some amazing people out here changing people's lives one heartbeat at a time. Now, before we get started, I would like to say, if this is your first time tuning in, head on over to their YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification, so you'll be notified every time that we drop a new episode. And this is a live stream, so if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comment section, and we'll be sure to answer them as we go. And one other thing, this is for educational purposes only. Now, without further ado, help me welcome my guest to the show, Richard Waldan, to the show. Richard, how you doing, brother?
Outstanding. Thank you for having me.
Most definitely, and you know, it's such an honor. Ever since our last talk, we had a great conversation, and we laughed a little bit too, right? Because
Kind of laugh a lot.
Yeah, we laughed a lot too, man. I'm really looking forward to our conversation today. Now, before we get started, introduce yourself to the audience. So tell people who you are, where you're from, about the work that you do.
Sure. My name is once again Richard Waldan. I'm a life coach, clinical pastor, meaning I'm not a congregational pastor. I observe and treat, speaker, an author of Your Guide to a Better Way of Thinking. And my shtick is all about a theory I developed in that we suffer, okay? And the bottom line is why. And what I came up with is that our brain has the ability to create on its own, meaning that we didn't create the image in our head of who we think we are. Our brain did. Our brain does, for example, our nighttime dreams. Are we involved with that? Of course not. Science says that we have over 6,000 thoughts a day. Do we take time out of our day to consciously think them up? Of course not. So our brain is always going, and our brain, is not our best friend, because it has a sidekick, the chatter in our head that longs to take us in the wrong direction.
I like that, because if we talked about this, you know, there's been many times, like, we can always talk ourselves into a funk, right?
Yeah.
And it's really hard to get out of that once you start. And just like yourself, I think I realized once you start on that road, it just keeps adding to it, which makes a lot of sense. You know, sometimes how people react to their so-called challenging moments in life,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Correct.
And it's really easy to take it personal.
Right. Tony, can I ask for a favor? Can I show them the order to life, which kind of clarifies, is kind of the heart and soul of what I do, and so that way the folks can really understand what's going on? Is that okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, most definitely.
Can you see it? Can you see it okay?
Yes.
Can everyone see it? Okay. But here's what I came up with, that there's a part of our brain that moves us forward, and there's a part that holds us back. And the part that moves us forward is aware. Aware of what? Aware that our personality has evolved in more than one direction. Sigmund Freud called the part that our brain created the ego, which is Latin for I, the self. Two, we want to stay present. The chatter in our head and the present moment cannot exist at the same place at the same time, because what our brain likes to do, for example, one of its antics it uses to torment us, it loves to take us in the future and beat us up with what if questions. What if this happens? What if you can't find a job? What if you can't pay your bills? What if? Because this is what fear is about. And when the chatter in our head tires of beating us up in the future, it'll take us in the past, that where regret is, to remind us of all the stupid things that we've done and said. And we don't realize that the chatter in our head is bouncing us back and forth between the future and the past, not knowing that true life is in the moment. I can only change in the moment. I can't change in the future. I can't change in the past. Our point of power is the present moment. 3, conscious choice, thinking through what we might create if we act upon our current thinking. 4, connecting. Connecting to what? Connecting to what we love. There's a biblical saying which I use it all the time, and I really like it. If you bring out what is within you, what you bring out will save you. If you do not bring out what is within you, what you do not bring out will destroy you. It's in the Bible that we are created in the image of God, meaning that we too have the power to create. And our greatest mental asset is our imagination. And our greatest mental process is staying curious. And when we combine the two of them, all kinds of wonderful things can happen. And now we have the flip side. And we have been educated actually to live through a part of our personality that is very destructive, our ego, because it's judgmental by nature, that works in conjunction with the chatter in our head that has the evidence. Oh, look what you did. Look what you said. Look what they say about you. You were told you're never any good. You're not. And then we react. And what it is, our brain, our chatter likes to keep us outside of the circle, because as long as we're there, we're not going to grow. We're not going to change. We're just going to vegetate. And so this is kind of the heart and soul of how do I say, my practice, what I do, that people can relate to. So it's almost like a mental compass, it gives you an idea where you are and what direction you're heading in.
I like that. And I love the format because there could be a lot of different uses. Like, say, for instance, a few of the things like I deal with in my work, mental health, addiction,
Sure.
Grief, trauma. And so let's talk about the many applications and how it can be applied with someone going through those different scenarios.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
So,
this, how do I say this? This connects to our humanity. This affects everyone in the world. I've done, as far as teaching, I've gone in the classroom, and the teachers love it because and the students can relate to it. Everybody can relate to this. I've done work in the prison system. Prisoner can relate to this. So it's very simple. It's very easy, but more important, it's transferable. Meaning that I can show someone this to a fifth grader, and he can turn around and share it with somebody else. It's easy to understand as well. And because if you can't implement it, what good is it? And if people, as they say, don't understand it, what is it going to do? Because the thing you don't want it to be is what I call a zingo, which is information flying over your head at supersonic speeds. So it's something that we can check into, and we can gauge what's going on, what's not going on. And is it perfect? Absolutely not. But it's a good place to start.
I like that. I like that because it takes the guesswork of what's a good place to start. I mean, that's always the question, right?
Yeah. It allows you
That's
to check
always
in
the
with
question.
yourself. Yeah, you kind of
Right.
yeah, you got it.
Okay. So now, how did you get into this field of work? Because I love the way that's broken down and everything. How did you get into this work? What was
Well,
your aha moment?
it's a good question. I got involved with teaching a while ago. I got involved with creating classes for continuing education classes for 3 different industries: the real estate, finance, stockbrokers, and law with attorney. And I found out that I love teaching. I wasn't really aware of that, but I'm a science buff too. And
Okay.
a scientist, I heard a scientist say, we was doing a program. He says, one thing that we scientists love, he says, are questions. Because when we answer a question, generally it generates 5 more questions. And I found myself kind of the same way. I remember when whatever it was, I was at my desk or whatever, and I've got a couple of Bibles that I refer to once in a while. I was looking at both of them, and I thought, what if you took all the great minds of the world, the Einsteins and Gandhis and Martin Luther King, all these great people, and you stuck them in a room, and you said, look, you cannot come out until you can describe both of these books in one word, because I'm all about brevity too. What would it be? I thought it would be peace, inner peace. It's the only state of mind that shares common ground with the universe. So, and one thing led to another. Well, we're not at peace. Well, why? Here we're so extraordinary, but at the same time, we're confused, self-serving, and destructive. We're the only life form on the planet that destroys itself. Well, why? Why? And that's what led me to as far as the brain being able to create, be able to create on its own. And so that one thing led to another, and I started getting into this and started to bring in various scripture, all these types of things. I'm a big fan of Jesus. As far as his teachings, he said, if you bring out what is within you, what you bring out will save you. He know what's in front of you, what is in will be revealed. He was a big advocate of mental health. He healed the sick, raised the dead. He casted out demons, which I believe is the chatter in your head. So he was big because he understood that if you're not well with yourself, you're not going to be well with the rest of the world. You're not going to be connecting with the Almighty. You're not going to be doing creative and wonderful things. And so he was very much involved with mental health. And that's one of the things I'm trying to, how do I say, I've developed this mental health, you may say, strategy. And I'm trying to get out there right now and teach it to, for example, pastors and ministers. I mean, we need it so bad. And the thing is, all of this goes together. We have, the ministers, we have mental health people, but it's all in one. And it's something that we all can teach. I've had teachers in the past. I showed them. So it's very, very simple. The application applies in any situation to any group of people. It has nothing to do with culture, where you came from, what you have. It has something to do with that. It has to do with our humanity.
Okay. I like that. I definitely like that. And watching how people take to the program, what are some of the results that you're seeing with people and helping them think in a better way, and applying that graph, and helping them understand a lot
Yeah,
more?
well, it's one of the things that I run into people all the time, and one we talk about various things, this and that, and I'll say to them, the chatter that in your head. Everyone respond, yeah, oh yeah, boy, do I know. Yeah, I see their eyes open up, and so it's something they can relate to, but they've never thought about what it's doing or what it's not doing. They never have given any thought about it. So
Mhm.
when I share with them, we have a side that moves us forward, we have a side that holds us back. Well, the chatter doesn't want you to move forward, and it wants you to be, how do I say, upset with life, or you don't agree with life. Wants you to be judgmental, because judgment is it basically is a wall between you and I and everybody. And they go, you know what? You're right. I see that. I can see where I've judged. I can see where I was fearful. I can see where I was being prejudicial. I can see these things now. And so, but like I say, we're growing up, and all these things are going on. No one ever explained it to us, and without explaining, we don't. How do I say? Put things into respective little places and boxes, because we're looking at the whole thing versus dissecting it into its parts and being able to examine each part and how it relates to others. So it's a really simple process. And but when see this, I've yet to have somebody see it and go, I don't understand it. I don't relate to it. That doesn't sound like me. I can't use that. I don't know what this. What are you talking? And so it's a very simple process that people go, hey, wait a minute, I can use this. And and it's really it's not any more complicated than that.
I love the simplicity of it because you've broken it down and made it digestible so people can understand it. They do, they'll be able to apply that to, um, almost every scenario that you encounter in life, right?
Oh, absolutely. One of the things when I'm coaching, is when I'm suggesting, try this or try that, and I see the hesitancy in this and this, and I say, well, wait a minute, let's take a look here. If you attempt to do this and it doesn't work out, are you going to get hurt? No. Is it going to cost you? No.
Mhm.
What's the worst that can happen? Well, it just doesn't work. Well, but here again too, all is not lost, because if it doesn't work, in most cases, you will learn something. you will learn something.
Yes.
The universe doesn't work in a straight line, and it's always changing, always moving, always dynamic. And what was good today may not be tomorrow because things are changing so fast. But so as long as you're out there trying, okay, you're going to learn so much. You're going to learn, and that's the benefit of doing this because success. I think part of success is learning. Is learning what works, and not only that, I show people, look, you can have fun doing this. Going
Mhm.
out, shaking hands, kissing babies, meeting people, talking to them, asking questions, and networking with them, learn about them, and so and all of a sudden, the fear now becomes an adventure. They go, yeah,
Yes.
and once I can get them out there, usually I can't stop them, because they see, oh my God, this is so much fun. I've been missing out because of my own stuff. But there again, we all suffer at different levels at different times over different things.
This is very, very true. And we got a comment up here. IKS Big salute to you, my brother. Mr. 20%. He says, when my mind gets like that, I know that the right actions are to push through and try my best to maintain and accomplish what is necessary to achieve my goals.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. Was that a question?
I mean, what do you, well, it was great. It could be looked at both.
Okay.
Um,
I just didn't want to miss anything.
Yeah, no. I think this. I think it could be construed as both. So, if
Yeah.
you was to look at it as a question from that, what would be your reply to that?
Okay. What can you rephrase or restate it or rephrase it? Because I'm
Yeah, most definitely. Mr. 20% says, when my mind gets like that, I
that
know that the right actions are to push through and
right.
try my best to maintain and accomplish what is necessary to achieve my goals.
Okay. Well, first of all, you big thing is to try to understand what you're hearing. What is your brain telling you? And because we usually operate according to patterns, and many times what it tells us is told us before. So and then analyzing, well, wait a minute, what I'm hearing is this going to move me forward? I mean, what is going on here? Because the thing I think we have to kind of always keep in front of us that our brain is not our best friend. It doesn't tell us how wonderful we are and how smart we are and we can do this or that. It's generally going to be detrimental. So we have to be cognizant of what it's telling us. And so, uh, you know, maybe you've got to push through. But there again is understanding what it's telling you, and that we have to be in the position to discard it. Meaning that, hey, I know what you're doing. I'm not going to go there. You're not going to stop me. You're not going to get in my way, and you push through. But the big thing is understanding what our brain is telling us. And like I say, it's not our best friend, and it's not always going to be encouraging. And so, anyway, that's my kind of my shtick. Is I think is anytime you're playing a game or a sport, you got to know what the rules are. And unfortunately, we haven't been told what the so-called rules are because we've the chatter in our head it's been with us all of our life. And here's the thing: it's not who we are. See, that's another thing. My brain is telling me, but your brain is not who you are. Okay, and so as like Jesus said, you've got to lose yourself to find yourself. So in other cases, people are not sure what they are, but usually it's connected to what it is that you love what it is that you love to do. What it is when I'm dealing with people, that have addictions of this and that, at that point in time, what they generally value is maybe the drugs as far as being how do I say messed up. They don't have to deal with reality. But if I can expose them, one of the questions I'll say, well, what do you love to do? What do you like to do? If I can get them in that direction and they start, how do I say it? Not even so much being successful, but start enjoying it. Start enjoying life, or hey, I met somebody. All these kinds of things. This, the goal is for that to become more valuable than the drugs. So meaning that, there's sometimes they get to a point where, you know what, I don't want to do the drugs anymore because I want to do this. So it comes down to what you value. We protect what we value, but we need to understand what it is that we truly value.
I love that. I love that. Now, I started as you was talking, and I was running this scenario through my head, and pretty much posed the question, like what would happen if a person didn't go into these situations with expectations, right?
Mhm.
Like getting past the emotional attachment to something, right? So you can see clearly of everything that the scenario or situation is trying to teach you. As you said, once you find out what's inside of you, it's your obligation to bring it out, right?
Mhm.
So I've always connected it that way. Like, what is it really trying to bring out of me that I need to pay more attention to? And can I go through it without taking it personal or having any made up expectations of what I think that it should be, but allow the process to unfold the way that it's supposed to in
Mhm.
that moment, right? Now I could be wrong on all of that, but I think like for yourself, it made sense to me in everything to
Yeah.
separate those things, but to think about it in a more reaction, responsive way.
Well, here's the thing. Anytime you have any kind of trepidations or whatever it may be, uh, what's really going on is you're being judgmental.
Mm,
We're judging the situation. We're not, and when I point that out or whatever, they can start to see it because they're anticipating all these. Well, you're kind of judging. You're judging what's going on. Don't judge it. Just do it. Just do it. Don't have any preconditions, well, my experiences before. And a big part of this is letting go of all your past fears. And I used to do this and that is when those things come up, you know what? That I'm judging what's going on here or what's not going to go. You know what? I'm not going to judge it. I'm just going to do it. And let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. And I I don't know. I could go on and on, but it's as simple as that. And as long as we as I mentioned, being judgmental is the most destructive mindset you can have because you cannot have a negative state of mind until you judge something. But we judge everybody and everything all the time. And who do we judge most? Ourselves.
mm. That leads me to that saying that someone said this, and I can't remember who it was, but they said you are your own worst enemy because not only will you talk yourself into a destructive pattern, but you will also talk yourself out of every blessing that is there for you as well, because you may not feel as if you're worthy of what you're getting.
That's true.
Now, I can relate to that on so many different levels because I have done that, right? I think we all
Sure.
have,
We
right?
all
I
have.
think it's the suffering part that comes along with it that really once it starts to sink in, you you'll never you'll never forget the lesson.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's and I always encourage people, whatever the situation is, you run into something, think creatively. And I don't, for example, let me share with you. I don't know if I shared with you last time. I was, I had, this is years ago. The program I had, as far as on my website, is called WordPress, and it's still around. I still have it today. And bottom line was, my software guy. This is when I lived in California. I was just south of San Francisco. Is he was leaving this and that? And I said, "Well, anybody I can refer to? You refer me to?" He said, "No, no idea." Anyway, so bottom line, I thought, well, I got to find me a WordPress guy. And so I went on a website called Meetup, and
Okay, okay.
I typed in WordPress events or seminars or whatever it was. And it right away it popped up. There was a seminar coming up for WordPress developers. It was in San Francisco, and it said over 100 people have already signed up and all this stuff. And I thought, well, I'm going to go. And I was telling my wife, and she says, well, if it's a seminar for develop, you're going to have it. You're going to be able to meet anybody if it's a seminar for them. And I says, well, yeah, I think I can. And I says, you can help me. And I says, oh, she says, in what way? I said, I want you to make me a sign. And I told her what the sign was going to say. And she says, what are you going to do with it? I says, I'm going to put a string on it and I'm going to wear it around my head so it hangs down so everyone could see it. And here it is. It says, help, WordPress developer needed. So I put this on. I walked into the meeting, and right away all the heads started turning, and he pointed, and they loved it. And Tony, within minutes, I had a stack of cards like this. They were lining up, give me their cards. And so what I'm saying, so here I walked in this thing, didn't know anybody, but I wore that little sign and it worked like magic. So there's so many little things that we should do. And you know what? It put a smile on their face. They would go, hey, that's really cool. I really dig that. How did you think it? So it's once again, we're creative beings. We're creative. We can see what's not there. And we haven't been educated to use that as much as possibly as we could. And I encourage people, be creative, think outside the box, do something. Maybe you think, well, it's outrageous. Go and do it anyway. You're going to get hurt. You're going to get hurt. And so, matter of fact, I've used this in a couple other situations, and it worked beautifully. So I encourage people, look, get out there, kiss babies, shake hands, have fun, and network, and it's so important. Jesus said, "Seek the kingdom first, and it'll be added to you." The kingdom being, be the kind of a person that people want to be around. Here, let me. I've got it real quick. Here is my book, and and what it is, it's a conversation between two people, and Jesus said, said, "Seek the kingdom first, the kingdom of God." But there's no definition of what the kingdom of God is. So I thought, let me see if I can come up with one. And once again, this is a conversation between two people, and John and Noah. And one of them is saying, well, Jesus said, "Be ye perfect like the Father in heaven who is perfect." A perfect state of mind is your way to the gateway to the kingdom of God, also known as the kingdom of heaven, said Noah. Well, how do you know when you reach the kingdom? I mean, how would you describe it? Replied John. There was a long pause as Noah collected his thoughts, and then turned to John and said, "Picture an inner calm so complete that nothing is wanting. There are no internal or external conflicts. It's a non-judgmental state that's passionate about creating, open to change, and an order where all things are added to you." And a while back, I was thinking about the universe, and I thought the universe is always doing three things. It's always creating, it's always changing, and it's always in order. Anyway, added to you in what way? Asked John. Is your body at ease? Is your mind free to think of wondrous things when you're anxious or upset? Will others invite you to break bread when you judge and curse them? No, of course not. A mindset like that wouldn't attract or wouldn't add or attract to anyone. But it doesn't seem fair, Noah. Having to monitor what God gave us is like buying a new car that constantly needs fixing. So so just another example of where can go as far as there's no problem, there's no conflicts, and just go out and enjoy yourself. And like I said, be the kind of person that people want to be attracted to. And that's what the law of attraction is all about. Because who do we do things for? People that we like and trust. And that's what it's all about. This is going a few years back. Ronald Reagan, he was always considered not being very sharp. Okay, and during his second term, he's kind of a not, kind of dumbwit or whatever, and he won every state but one, and he did it because of one reason: he was likable. He never put anybody down. He was always encouraging. He was likable. And I think that's the number one thing that has to happen is that people have to like you. As simple as that want to be around you. And it doesn't, like I said, and if you can turn that on, boy, all kinds of things can happen because they're going to want to assist you. Okay? They're going to want to say, yeah. But anyway, I can go on and on. But anyway, I made my point. Yeah, and so that's it. Yeah, but so you have to concentrate on being that. Are you the kind of person that you want to hang around with if you didn't know yourself? That kind of a thing.
Ooh, that's a question that people have to ask themselves from time to time.
Yeah.
And because I tell people this, right? You may see the person in front of you, but there used to be a time where I hated myself, right? because of the things that I felt that I was forced to do in order to survive in this life. Right? I
Mm-hmm.
never saw the other side. I never saw people not having to fight all the time or not having to deal with a lot of the things that me and a lot of guys that I was around had to deal with. Right? So for us, it was constant chaos. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Every time you turn around, there's a bunch of different elements, and if you're not looking at the whole board, well, unfortunately, there's consequences to not paying attention to what's going on, right?
Yeah.
And but it wasn't until I began to seek peace instead of happiness and instead of survival that what you just mentioned start to make sense to me. Like, hold on, if I can really look at this and not be attached to the outcome,
Mm-hmm.
I can I can still be happy, right? Because I believe that it still worked out the way it was supposed to,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if from that scenario I just played out, where somebody is going through life in strictly survival mode, and they come to Richard and they say, Richard, this is what's going on with me,
Mm-hmm.
right? What would be some of the things that this person can expect from working with you?
Well, first of all, we'd sit down, and just take a look at it. What's going on? Once again, I pull out the order to life. That part. We'll start talking about that, and then trying to plug in what I'm hearing to what's in the circle or what's outside of the circle, things of that nature. What works, what doesn't. Try so they have kind of a point of reference. For example, if you're in a room, pitch black, and there's only one door, but is the door 5 feet away or 10 feet or a mile away? You don't know because you can't see. And so it's all about being able to see what's going on. If they can get a point of reference, what's happening. And one of the simplest way and it's something I enjoy doing, is to, how do I say, put you in a position where people enjoy being around, is making them laugh. Making them laugh. As simple as that. When you laugh, yeah, you're not really not thinking about anything else but what you're laughing about, what you're enjoying. And we want to be around people. And I remember there was a fellow when I was going to college. His name was Don. And as soon as I saw Don, I started smiling. He made me, even just looking at him, he always had a smile. He always had something to say. And I know he's going to have me laughing in about 2 seconds. But he was that kind of guy, and I loved being around him. He was just a joy to be around, and he could take the simplest thing and make it funny. And something simple as that is, I don't know, make people laugh. And yeah, one of the for example, when I'm doing a talk or whatever, I got a little story here. I'll share that with you. And I even tell people when I'm out and about that, one of the strangest thing happened to me the other day. And when I was going down the street over here, and I'm driving by this house, and I see this sign in front of this house. It says "talking dog for sale." I thought, what? I pull over, and I get out of the car and I walk up to the door. I knock on the door, and the door opens up. I said, "Excuse me, I'm looking at the sign in your yard. It says talking dog for sale." He says, "Yeah." He says, "You want to meet him?" Yeah. He calls the dog. The dog sits down. He starts talking. He starts telling me of all the places he's been and all the people that he saved. And I turn to the guy. I says, "Why would you want to sell this dog?" He says, "He's a liar. He hasn't done any of those things." Or I'll use or I'll come up with I pulled into a strip center the other day, and I got out of the car. There's an elderly man. I mean, he's elderly. He's sitting on this plant. He's crying. Well, I thought maybe he's in trouble. I walked up to him. I said, "Sir, are you okay?" He nods. He says, "Yeah." And I said, "Are you sure?" "Yeah." I said, "Well, yeah." He says, "In fact, I'm pretty happy." I said, "I don't get it. How can you're crying?" I says, "What are you happy about?" He says, "Oh, I just married this beautiful young thing and I can't wait to get home to her." I said, "Then why don't you go?" He says, "I forgot where I live." So yeah, it's you can come up with little stories like that and blend them like that, and people love it. But you're making them laugh, and it's just it's a comfort thing, and I enjoy doing that. I enjoy getting a rise out of people, and
Me
it's
too.
something that and people say, well, I'm not a very funny guy. Well, learn to be. Get off your butt and learn to be. Step out of yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah, get a life. Come on.
Now, it, let people know what brain yites is.
What's that?
Let people know what brainy yites
Well,
brainy
brainiac
yites
is
is.
basically someone who respects the orders of life, that wants to live life, okay? That wants to stay in the circle, that wants to network, move on, and all the basically that's what a brainiac is. And brainiacs love to hang out with other brainiacs. The what's called the mastermind is the definition of two or more minds working together in order to accomplish a specific thing. Well, hang out with people that you share their values with. Okay, maybe that or not you value, but you want to hang out with, you want their value. You want so it's all about networking. We hang out with people that we share the same values with, and it's all about connecting. It's like when I went up to the WordPress seminar, okay, and I wanted to step into their value as far as WordPress about having to run a computer. So I stepped into their world, okay, and I used that little sign to basically introduce myself as I stepped into their world, and do just oddball things like that, and people love it. They enjoy it because most people are we're so, how do I say, inward. We're so into ourselves, down, etc., and we don't get out and project what's going on. The good Lord gave us a brain, gave us an imagination, enables us to be curious. Well, go out and use these things. They're wonderful, and you can have so much fun, and you can also teach yourself. That, hey, wait a minute, things weren't so bad. Hey, that was okay. Let's try it again. It's like going on the roller coaster. Boy, I'm not. When you go on it, you go, let's go on it again. So it's just I encourage people to just stay out there. Stay out there. You're not going to get hurt. Go out there, kiss babies, shake hands, meet people, talk to people, and have fun.
I love that. I love that. Now, I only have a few other questions for you before I let you go, because I could talk to you all day long, and so I'm sure that's what's I'm sure that's what definitely gonna happen. Be sitting here laughing and everything else. So, how can people find you on your social media?
Well, there's my website is brainyites.com, and I'm on Facebook, and which is Coach Me Rich is my handle, and Twitter, and those are the main things. But if people and I don't mean how do I say, if they're really interested in getting into, well, for example, you go to my website, okay, on the homepage I have what's called Step 1 and 2. Which explains the process that I just shared with you. Number one gets back into how I came up with the theory. Your brain creates on its own. And step two takes you through the circle, takes you through the order to life. So you'll hear me, okay. And the cool thing about it is what you hear me say is downloadable, because sometimes you hear, God, I got to write this down. The script on step 1 and 2 is you can download. So every word that you hear me say, it can be yours. And so I encourage you. And then naturally, if you want to get involved, a little more involved, you can buy the book. And like I say, it's a story between two individuals. And let's see here is um, from the time Adam and Eve were kicked out of the Garden of Eden for judging, blaming, hiding, and not being accountable. We have been unable to answer until now why we are locked in a diametrically opposed battle with ourselves. We can be so extraordinary at the same time, confused, self-serving, and indestructible. We're extraordinary because we have an imagination that enables us to see in our mind's eye what is not there. We're confused and self-serving because we're unaware that our chaotic and nonsensical brain uses this power to create on its own. That is what's responsible for us being the only life form on the planet that destroys itself. The book is an introspective parable that brings yesterday's theology into the same orbit of today's psychology, where you will learn why your brain is not your best friend, how to manage the chatter in your head that's managing you, how to identify the fine line between peace and suffering, how the present moment will enable you to save yourself from yourself, and much more.
I love that. I love that. And where can people find your book?
Amazon.
Amazon.
Amazon's got everything.
Yes, they do. I'm still
Anything.
I'm behind a little bit. I'm still working on that part.
Oh my God! Yeah, yeah. Like you can pretty much you can just buy anything now on Amazon. It's amazing.
This is very true. This is
Yeah.
very true. Now, two more questions for you.
Sure.
If Richard had a superpower, what would it be?
If I had what?
If you had a superpower,
A superpower?
Uh-huh.
I mean, above the superpowers I have, fly like Superman. I mean, well, yeah, yeah. Gosh, I don't know. It's I don't know. I don't know what, but I'm not. I don't know. Offhand, I can't think. I can't think of any superpower. Something like this. It'd be crazy. Something like that. I don't know because I don't know. I'm not coming up with anything, but yeah, I'm babbling here. But yeah, you got me. You got me. Yeah, you got me. Yeah, no, because I'm pretty. I say comfortable in my own skin. And the thing of it is too is we have so many resources available. I mean, the internet. You can learn or just about anything you want to learn about is on the internet. It's on the internet. There's so much we have available to us. And like I say, if we use our imagination, and stay curious, we can start doing all kinds of things and all the people you're going to meet. And it is so exciting because then they're going to introduce you to somebody else and they're going to introduce you to somebody else. And so next thing you know, you're going to be meeting all these terrific and fantastic people, learning, having a good time. And that's what it's all about. And you will amaze yourself that it was always there. It's just, just kind of you bring out what is within you. It's as simple as that.
That is very, very true. One more question for you.
Sure, sir. Go ahead.
If you could leave the audience with something, what would you leave them with?
I would say is that be mindful of judgment. Judgment is the most destructive mindset you can have because it's impossible to have a negative state of mind without first being judgmental. And here's the thing. We have been educated to live through our ego, our altered self, that is judgmental by nature. And so part of the frustration we have, we're trying to heal the very thing that is sick. Our ego is sick, but we're trying to heal that, and we can't. So the best thing that we can do is examine it, know what it is, and bypass it. And then we come to what I call our true self, our real self, who we are. And like I say, it's that inner calm, it's that person that's curious. So that's probably the most important thing. Judgment is the most destructive mindset we can have. And who do we judge more than anyone else? Ourselves.
I love that. I love that. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this episode of the Grief Let's Talk About It podcast. I can't wait to have you back on here again.
Well, thank you, Tony.
Open up the doors to laugh some more. I'm also following you on Facebook so I can't wait to see everything, and keep learning about more that you do. For everyone else, his information will be in the YouTube channel in the description down there. So guys, go check him out. Go grab the book. And and get on the right path. Get on the right path to finding peace without expectations, and living a more beautiful, peaceful life.
Well, someone once said real quicker is well, I don't know what to do. Well, look, do something even if it's wrong. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Do something even if it's wrong.
I often tell people that when I'm just looking at them and I want them to start, I go, look, it doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. Just go ahead and do it. You'll figure it
Yeah,
out as it
dude,
goes,
yeah,
right?
yeah, get off your, get off your butt and go do
And just
something. Come
do
on.
it. Just do it, right?
Yeah.
Because that's one of the biggest things that I've ever did that I'm the most proud of that I just started. It didn't matter because when you first start something, you don't know nothing from nothing, right?
Well,
All you have is this image in your head, these expectations of this, that, and another. And once you get disappointed again, you find yourself, right? You find that it's not personal, that you may just have to go back and learn some few other things before everything else falls into place. And not every idea is the best idea at that moment. Doesn't make it a
right.
bad idea.
It doesn't
It just
matter.
means, yeah, it doesn't matter, right?
It doesn't
Because
matter.
eventually it comes back around.
Because here again, we're judging ourselves. See,
Mm.
because well, maybe that isn't all this. Quit the, but and then the more you're mindful of you're going to be shocked to say you're going to. Hey, I'm judging everything all the time, and we're not even
Mhm.
realizing that because that's how we are. Anytime we come out with a question, well, you're judging it, and so just be. And one of the things when I'm coaching is being aware of what's going on. In other words, of your where's your mind taking? What are you hearing? And most of it is about judgment. And people say, "Oh my God, no wonder I'm not doing anything because I've already made it wrong before I even do it, or I can't do it, or I'm not smart enough." And so it's old stuff that keeps coming back. And so yeah. And once again, it's just stay out there, go do it. And you may have just mentioned it. The hardest part is just starting, just starting, just starting.
Yeah, I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. For everybody who has been tuning in, I want to say thank you guys for always tuning in. And if you haven't already, do me a favor because we still grow on the channel. Head on over to their YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification, so you'll be notified every time that we drop a new episode. And most importantly, I want to keep you guys updated because you guys know I am a co-host of another show on the Connect Work, which is every Tuesdays and Thursday, 10 a.m. Mountain Time on YouTube. It's also a live stream, so don't forget to check us out during there. It's hip hop at its finest, news and sports and crazy questions and just laughing and just coming out and vibing with us. You know what I'm saying? Every Tuesday and Thursday. So don't forget to do that. Go check out Mr. Richard on all his social medias. Go check out his book. And with that being said, guys, I want to thank you for always supporting the channel. Allow me to keep bringing these conversations to you guys. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. With that being said, I'm Tony Lynch. We are out. And guys have an amazing, blessed day. And don't forget to go out and make memories with the people that you love because tomorrow's not promised. All right. Catch you guys in the next one.